Well, the desk's amazing. Is amazing actually because it came from Channel 5, Channel 4, Limehouse, as it is, Limehouse Studios, and it was built for the Word. The actual desk was built for the Word, so it's an amazing bit of equipment. So it's any band that you ever saw on the Word went through this desk. The whole lot of them, you know, your Nirvanas and any of them, anyone that you chose to mind. I can't even remember it now. It's such a long time ago, but. So it was commissioned for that, and then it went from there to another studio in London, and then I got it. But when it was built, it was £250,000. When I sold it, it was £6,000. They're not really worth anything now. They just look great.
Because you have said it's actually more. It looks fantastic, but you don't actually necessarily use
Don't need to use it at all. I do use parts of it, but I don't need to use it. These are replicated over here on these with the rack units, which I prefer because they're slightly more versatile. So that's why I don't need to use this anymore.
And how did you get it in?
With huge difficulty, and I'm really scared about moving it out again because it's very, very heavy. It takes 8 people to lift it, and that's not a gentle lift. That's a very serious lift. If anyone drops it's all coming down, and everyone's going to be. So it's you can't see them under there, but the supports, it takes 2 people to lift those. So it's mainly guitar-led bands, but occasionally we get sort of nice things and synths and things and more interesting takes on music. Not that usual, but it's nice when you do get something like that involved because it's more. Mind expanding for me in particular. Lots of singer-songwriter stuff, and that's great. Working on that's really good fun. But the bands can be, well, they are, as you can see how far they can go from the Arctic Monkeys in point.
So the question everybody always asks me about you is the Arctic Monkeys.
As you'd expect.
Tell me about the Arctic Monkeys.
Well, it's lovely. They're Arctic Monkeys. When they first came into the studio, it was actually, they came in with John McClure, and John McClure's band was called 1984. In fact, actually it was called Jutansuki before that. So that's what they came in. 2 of the Arctic Monkeys were in that. We were doing this session for the Jutansuki thing, and one of the guitarists who I hadn't actually noticed really, apart from him being in the session, I'd obviously said hello at the beginning, but you're so busy in these sessions that I'm just trying to make it all work as quickly as possible. And it was Alex Turner, and he popped his head through the door, and he said, "I really like it in here." He said, "Can we come in and do some recording?" I said, "Yeah, of course you can." He said, "Well, we're doing a gig on the Saturday. Would you like to see us?" I said, "Yeah, I'll come down and see you. That'd be great." So I went to see it wasn't the first, it was the second Arctic Monkeys gig ever. And that was at, what's it called? It was down, goodness gracious. Anyway, so I went down to see there were about 10 to 14, 15 people in the audience. But it was a big venue, so, you know, would have hold capacity was 600, so 10 to 14 people isn't a massive thing. But I knew there was something that I liked about it. In fact, I describe it as shambolic because it was shambolic. But they did say when they were mainly covers, and they sounded pretty much like the band would sound. But then there were these other two or three songs that I didn't recognise at all. So when I went backstage, I said, "Were those your own, you know, self-penned lot?" And they said, "Those are the ones we're going to be recording." I said, "Oh, very good." So they came in, and we did the session, and it was really good fun, and they all enjoyed it. And the next stage, actually, for the thing was the next day. My band, because I was in the band, my band members or ex-band members, because we'd all split up because we were basically my band, Seafruit, was we basically got signed, got to the top, if you want to call it the top, and our label had Oh God, I've forgotten his name.
No, that's okay.
Craig David.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yes,
That is a
exactly.
good
That's
name.
why it's that's why it's like whoa.
So,
Craig
Seafruit,
Craig David.
David.
Craig David's up there. The
Yeah.
accountants come in to look at how Seafruit are doing as well. The whole thing. They see Craig's doing really well. They say, "Oh, Craig's doing all right." They see Seafruit and they say, "What's that lot? Get rid." And they just basically that's what it's like in the music industry. You have to remember that they are. It's once they've decided they're not going to go with you, it just goes, and there's no kind of stopping it. So I'd started doing. I'd gone into this thing, into being a studio. The rest of the band members from Seafruit were all doing their own thing as well. Jeff, who was the singer out of the band, had decided to be an A&R man, and he was being an A&R man with the people that we'd been with, if you know what I mean. So he was basically doing that, and he kept coming in every so often and saying, "Al, have you seen any bands? Have you seen any bands?" So it's one of those. I said, funnily enough, Jeff, yes, I've seen this band. I said, they're amazing. I said, I don't think you like them, but I think they're brilliant. And he went, oh. He said, what they called? So I said, no, Arctic Monkeys. He said, what they like? I said, well, they're just young lads. They're fun. They're fun to be around. So he got a phone. No, he then went off looking. I gave him the phone, basically the phone number for Alex. Alex phoned. Jeff phoned Alex. Alex spoke to Jeff. Alex then phoned back immediately to say, "Who's this Jeff bloke? What's this about?" So I said, "Well, he was our sort of. He was the vocalist of the band that I was in," and I said, if he wants to manage you, I said, I reckon he'd be really good at being a manager for you, because he was pretty good for us when we were being Seafruit. He said, I said, it's like having a little dog napping at you, snapping at your ankle, because he just doesn't let go. It's really annoying. But I said, he doesn't let you go. And he you know. So I said,
what you need.
yeah, I said that, and that's what actually happened. So yeah, exactly. He became the manager, made a bloody fortune. I came out with a few pennies at the end of it. But
That's the music industry for
that
you.
is the music industry, yeah.
Like,
Well, it's still fantastic. I think it's an amazing place. It's very creative as a. Well, you must know it anyway. When you're around here, it's creative. People are kind of creative around here. Music-wise, they seem to sort of huddle themselves into little, well, they're bands, aren't they? Like little bands, and they are. I'm always surprised at how they find each other, musicians. It's obviously you like, being in music, but actually finding the type of person. You normally get, they're all the same kind of people, aren't they? Yes, have the Two Fly website, which is obviously where people find us, and it's just they phone using a phone number. I haven't sort of gone up into, you can book online. I'm not doing that. To be honest, I want to know a bit more, and they want to know a bit more. It's always the phone involved.
and you get a lot of word of mouth.
A lot of word of mouth. Yeah.
And why do people choose to come to you? What is it they get?
They get experience from an old git, but I understand music. I always have done. I always have understood it. So it's one of those they get a lot of passion from me. I will say exactly what I think. So if anyone's, I'll just tell them. They get a quality of sound. They get a quality of the experience of moving stuff around. In the Arctic Monkeys, when they came in at being 17 years old, they weren't great at playing, not at all. You wouldn't expect them to be. They were really all over the place. Andy, who was the bassist, it was almost like there must be a bus coming, because he was always so fast. He was always early. It's like, Andy, slow down. And in the end, I just gave up slowing down, telling him to slow down. I just picked up, because in these things you can see all the files. I just used to pick them up and physically move it back to where I wanted it. And it's the same thing with this. It's about again with if someone's in the tracking to a song or something, maybe the vocal or something like that. they quite often get a bit excited. So it's not quick, but it's a little bit too fast, or a little bit too early. So it sounds uncomfortable. They think it's all right. I don't think it's all right. I say, I think it's lovely, but I think if I move it, it's going to sound better.
Like the way the space.
The space is nice because that was another thing about the old Two Flies, because actually what happened in the old Two Fly was it was two square rooms, one small square room and one big square room. And they both sounded horrible. And when you put anything in it, it sounded horrible. And it was just like, and then I was thinking, what am I going to do with this space to make it better? And I thought, well, I need a vocal booth, so I'm going to have to make a vocal booth. So I actually cornered off one part of the space, and accidentally by doing that, I'd suddenly created non-uniform a room, and it suddenly sounded a lot better. And so it was like, okay. And I worked on that, and then we changed. It was a partition wall in that one. I moved it across, and that made it even better still. And it was like, oh, this works well, doesn't it? This is great. And what actually happened was the other room now, the smaller room, was now way better because it wasn't square rooms again. So that's what I did in here. So that's why you have this kind of, they're never quite square, so you don't get an ugly sound.